right, guys. All right, so today we're actually going to be talking about how to make your first, well, not even your first, but how to make $100,000 in sales in 5 months with your cleaning company. At the beginning, it doesn't seem possible, or it almost seems impossible. But we actually did it. We did over $100,000 in sales. Last year we did 100 for the entire year. Now we're already at that mark, and we're not even halfway through. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about how we did it and the roads and obstacles that we had to negotiate to be where we are today. So yeah, check us out. All right. So first things first. When you start a cleaning company or any service-based business, I just say cleaning company because that's what I'm currently doing, but any company or whatever. But I know this is more applicable to like service-based businesses. So first, doing $100,000 in sales is not for everyone. It's not everybody's goal. So I guess the first thing would to be to identify what are you in it for? You know, what is your goal? It's not everybody's not thriving to be the next, $2 million or $3 million company or $1 million company or trying to have a big organization. Some people are in it to make a decent living. So I guess whatever your definition of a decent living is. But some numbers to kind of give, so like the average person, you have some people that do the solo, what we call solo cleaners or solo operator. It's the whole do-it-yourself approach. For what I've learned is in the cleaning business, the average person can do about anywhere from about $50,000 to $70,000 worth of work by themselves. And the reason why I give such a broad range is because, such a big range is because the market differs from place to place. So some locations or cities, the cost of living might be a little higher, so that's why for the influx or whatever like that. But you as a solo cleaner are going to only be able to do so much. So the first thing is to kind of, if you want to be someone that's doing $100,000 in sales, you gotta be consider recruiting people and be good at recruitment. So you gotta be able to recruit people. That's probably one of the biggest. That's gonna be one of your biggest sticking points on your journey to having a company that's able to do $100,000 in sales is recruitment. That's probably going to be the number one. You got to be able to recruit people and kind of be able to get people to be on board. So you got to come up with a lot of interesting and unique ways to get people interested and bought in and wanting to come to work and stuff like that. And with all the unique challenges that the economy is presenting today, you got to get even more and more creative because there's a huge labor shortage. So today is a little bit more challenging than it was yesterday, but nonetheless, it can be done. You just got to kind of get innovative about your recruitment tactics and getting people on board. And so one of the things you kind of got to get is proactive about recruiting. And then two, you got to make sure that you have enough supply and demand. So you have to have enough work to be able to support you and the individual, because I mean, if the person doesn't feel like they're getting compensated fairly for the efforts or the time that they're spending out there, they're not going to last, or they're not going to stay very long anyway. So you have to be able to simultaneously get the work while also getting the help. So the first milestone is for me, it was $10,000, doing $10,000 in sales, doing $10,000 in 1 month in sales. And how you kind of go about that is, like I said last week, everybody needs to know what it is that you're doing. So if you're starting a business, everybody should know that you're open for business and what that business is. So every opportunity that you have to introduce yourself or let talk to someone, you know, they should know what it is that you do. That doesn't mean that you have to sell everybody that you encounter, but at a minimum, everyone should know. If you have a cleaning business, everyone should know that you have a cleaning business. That should be part of like who you are as a person, because now you're a business owner. So this is now one of your characteristics, and one of the things that define you is now that you're a business owner. So that's what defines you, like your business. That's a part of you. So, you know, somebody like, hey, tell me about yourself. Oh, you know, I like long walks on the beach, and I have a cleaning company. Like, oh, okay. And then two, the obvious, do good work. So when you go out there, you got to do good work. Make sure that you're doing quality work for when you get your first hire, somebody get you to come out and do a job. You got to make sure that you're doing quality work. And then also, if you have people out there helping you, because they're an extension or a representation of you and your brand as well, you got to make sure that they're doing quality work, so that you can get that word of mouth going and the referral business. So here's the thing about word of mouth and referral business. It's a great way to build a business. It's the most the most solid of the leads. So usually when somebody gives you a word of mouth referral, I don't want to say 100%, but it's almost like it's a high percent chance that you're going to close on that sale because it's coming from a reputable source. When I say reputable, it's reputable to that person. So like if my buddy James tell me, hey, you should use these people because they're really good at X, Y, and Z, almost a no-brainer. I'm not going to shop around. I'm not going to look for other people because I got it from him. That's somebody that I know. It's a reliable, reputable source. I'm going to almost use them 9 times out of 10. The referral business plays a major role. I wouldn't go as far as say major. It really, like I said, depends on what it is that you define as success. Like if you're not striving to have a big company that does a lot, you know, you're just trying to make a decent living for you and your family, then, you know, that word of mouth or that referral business might be what you need or what you're looking for to sustain your business. But if you're trying to grow a company rapidly, you're trying to get it to a big organization where you can employ several people, or is your vision to have $1 million company, or even a company that's doing $500,000 in sales in a year, then the next one is have to be like sales. You have your word of mouth and your referral, and I always refer to that as a slow grind. I mean, yeah, that's an important part of your business, but if you're looking to grow your business solely on that, it can take up to like 5-10 years before you have a company that's doing big enough numbers where you don't need any marketing. And some people say they don't need any marketing. You have some people like, I don't even market, and I'm making all my business is referral, word of mouth. And you ask that person how long they've been in business, and it's usually over the course of some years. You never hear somebody that's been in business for 1 or 2 years or 3 years that's doing over $200,000 or $300,000 in sales say that they don't use any marketing or advertising. They always be like, they have to hit the ground running. To do those types of numbers in year 2, year 3, you have to have some type of marketing effort. So my next thing would be marketing. Rather it's door hangers, hanging stuff on people's doors, or sending out flyers and stuff like that, or running some online advertising campaign. This is where it starts to kind of get a little tricky when you start talking about marketing. So you don't want to you have all these companies that overpromise they can make you so much money and all that stuff. So the next thing is, when I'm talking about marketing, I'm talking about actually doing your research on marketing efforts, seeing what's the most, pretty much what gets you the most bang for your buck. I encourage in the beginning to do a little mild, what I call mild marketing. You have platforms like Angie's List. It depends on who you talk to. They'll give you some positive or negative experience with those types of services, but it's really all about your location. Some of those platforms work well in some markets and not so well in other markets. So I would say kind of toy around with little stuff like that. They have Angie's List, Thumbtack, all these different types of service-based business marketing companies that you can use at your disposal and stuff like that. So kind of see where you can kind of get the most kind of friction. And at that point in time, it's really about just building up an online presence. It's you want to get a good online presence because we're in the digital era where everyone, when they see a name on a billboard or they see something on a commercial, the first thing they do is they Google it. Or if they're weird, they Bing it. So that's the first thing they do. So you want to make sure that you're having positive results when people see you online. So these marketing efforts is more or less so you can kind of get an online presence. So it's more or less about getting a good reputation as opposed to driving up the revenue cost. The good reputation, then byproduct of good reputation is more money because you make more sales. You got more people that seek you out. So these organizations like Thumbtack, companies like Thumbtack and Angie's List, and I think they got this one company called Bark and stuff like this, or even selling on Facebook, or starting a Google My Business page. This is you want to start getting traffic on those things and getting a really good online presence and getting people to, when people look you up or people Google you or type you in a search engine and all those things come up, you want to make sure that they're having a positive experience and people are saying great things about you. So those are great ways to get some buzz behind your company online using those platforms and stuff like that, and getting those positive reviews across several platforms, because you have some people that they look you up on different platforms and stuff like that and see what, so you can have a positive rating on Google, but if they go on Angie's List and you have a negative rating, it can kind of skew their perception of your organization. Biggest things also on your road to the whole 100K is quality control. So every time you got to make sure you come out, and every now and then come out and check. The checkers don't check, the doers don't do. So who's going to do if the checkers don't check? Positive ratings online, and then a big one that a lot of people is sales. Like if you want to, like we get so like caught up in like the people on social media and the influencers, and they make it sound so much easier than when it's like, oh, make $100,000. You're probably watching this video because it said, oh, make $100,000 in 5 months or 6 months or whatever have you. But the last key of it is like hustle, grit. Like you actually got to get out and pound the pavement. So one of the things we do a lot of cold calls. So identify your customers and identify what's the most likely place that customer is going to shop or hang out or be at, and then you got to go out there and be in that presence and solicit those customers. A lot of people they do the referral business. They try to grow their business on referrals because it's easier. It's not so painful. The rejection isn't so hard. It kind of comes to them. But in actuality, you got to actually go out there and get your sales. So you got to find out who's your target customer, who's your target audience, where does that person likely shop and or be, and then you got to find those areas, whether that's online, whether that's a store, whether that's at their home, and then you got to go actively solicit them. One of the things, I'm a big advocate of cold calling. Cold calling is harsh, it's rough. You get hung up and disrespected, but it's probably the most effective. That's probably why I get the most returns on is cold calls and actually knocking doors. Well, not literally knocking doors. Sometimes I actually walk into offices and presenting yourself, putting yourself together, professional appearance. You got to kind of stand out from the rest of the people in the industry. So right now I'm in the cleaning business, and most of the time people show up dirty t-shirts or tank tops and stuff like that. They're not so professional or put off an appearance where like this is somebody that I know is going to do business or take care of business. So one of the things I try to get ahead of my competitors, and we don't have the most money, we don't spend the most marketing dollars, but we put a lot of pride into our appearances and looking professional. And that in itself wins us a lot of business. Just walking in the office like this, and then one person said, "I thought you sell insurance." And I was like, "No, we're a cleaning company." And I was like, "Well, you don't look like you clean." I was like, "Well, the cleaners don't show up like me, but anytime we go out and we represent the company, we're making sure that we're in like a presentable, like somebody that they want to do business with, somebody that they can do, that they feel like they can trust." So get out there, make those calls, knock those doors, and once all those things come full circle, you'll be easily can do 20,000, 25,000 in sales. So that's probably right now our higher score is 25. So right now we're trying to get over that next threshold. Our next goal is to 40,000. So once we hit 40,000, you'll see a whole nother video on how to make $40,000 in sales in 1 month, or 200,000 in 5 months and stuff like that. It's endless. You just got to outwork your competition. You got to be willing to go in those waters in the deep end when no one's willing to go. And one of the biggest things, cold calls, knocking doors, walking into offices, making sure that you have an effective marketing in place. You're not gonna do those types of sales in such a short period of time with no type of marketing plan or no type of marketing strategy. Now, just because I said marketing, you don't have to go out and get this big fancy or big expensive marketing company, but it's some type of marketing strategy or plan. Rather it's hanging up flyers, handing out business cards, or running a simple Google ad. So those are the biggest things. Those are gonna make you successful. And that's how you're gonna be able to generate those types of sales in such a short period of time. All right, guys. Leave me a comment down below what type of topics you guys would like me to touch on as far as business stuff. If you guys got any specific questions or experiences that you would like to share and that you would like to see me or hear me talk about or address, just let me know. And then also, if you like this video, you like this content, give me a like and share that motherfucker. Till next week. Peace.